Hi guys, welcome to another video. So I'm Charlie and this is Almost Gaming Systems. So this is a new series of videos I'm planning on doing, which is kind of like This Week in Tech on YouTube. So specifically, all throughout my adult life, even when I was like a teenager, I've been watching tech YouTubers on YouTube for close to like 2 decades. So that was how I learned a lot of my so-called knowledge on PC technology, and I'm still doing it up to today, right? I'm still very much involved in tech YouTube, and I've created my own channel to try and follow in the footsteps of so-called my idols in tech YouTube as well. So what I'm gonna do is for every week I'm just gonna like do a summary on what videos my favorite tech tubers have created, and what are the issues they have covered, what have they covered on This Week in Tech. Okay, so I'll start it off. So first off, let's take a look at Dear Bauer. So honestly, a bit of disclaimer, many of these videos I haven't watched in full. I only watched a few of the videos in full because even I don't have time to go through the huge amount of content that's been put out by these tech tubers over the entire course of a week. So I'll just, tell you what I know. Okay. First one, it's Dear Bauer actually hasn't uploaded at all in the past 2 weeks. This is channel. And by the way, links to all of their channels will be in the video description below. So if you'd like to check out their individual videos, whatever you're interested in, please go to their respective channels, which I've linked, and give their videos a watch. So he actually did a video on his $2,000 Mora radiator project, which is a huge ass I think I'm just gonna mute his video in case of any copyright issues. But anyway, yeah, his huge wall-mounted radiator. He has actually did a video of this in the past, introducing it. I think this is his finished project. So it's a passion project of his. I haven't watched this video yet, but seems really interesting. If any of you guys are into radiator and water cooling, definitely give it a watch. Moving on to Hardware Unboxed, our Aussie VTubers, Aussie YouTubers, tech tubers from down under. They actually did quite a lot of content in the past week. So they have a best 16 card roundup of the best, not to the best, all the 9070 XTs that they tested. I actually didn't watch this video. I only watched a little bit of it. But they have included like two new 9070 XTs which they couldn't get their hands on in the past. I think what was included was one of the Gravis cards, which was this one. It has a really nice shroud design, but I don't know how it performs because I actually don't have time to watch through the whole video. And they included the 9070 XT Reaper, which in Singapore is one of the cheapest 9070 XTs. So if you're buying a 9070 XT in Singapore, even the 9070 or 9060 XT 16GB, please consider the Power Color Reaper version, because it is the cheapest I can find from all the stores in Singapore. Okay, so there is that. So there is the 9070 XT. Other than that, the Tim actually from Hardware Unboxed did like a GPU price update. So Hardware Unboxed has been known to do this ever since I think the COVID era, that means 2019. So they've been doing this for the past 6 years, whereby GPUs back then were really hard to get because they were driven up by high demand of cryptocurrency miners, I myself included. We bought them wherever we could get them because they had a very high return on investment. So Team from Hardware Unboxed started doing this roundups where they check out the prices and the values of the various GPUs on a monthly basis. I think they will usually check out US prices, but sometimes they talk about Australia prices and so on and so forth. So if you would like to see some updates on any of those prices, but unfortunately they don't do Singapore, so I'm the one that covers the Singapore GPU prices here. Okay, so if you like to have some knowledge on what's updated prices on GPUs in like US or maybe even Australia and maybe some other countries that they cover, you can give their video a watch. But it's also nice to know what's happening on the other side of the world. Other than that, they also did a lot of content on Borderlands 4, which is the latest AAA title that's officially released. So they actually, Steve from Hardware Unboxed did a 40 GPU benchmark on Borderlands 4. It is not a long video, 19 minutes, but all in all, the general summary is that Borderlands 4 really sucks in terms of performance. The gameplay, I think it's decent, but in terms of performance optimization, it really sucks. You can see that this is 1440p at a higher setting. A 9060 XT cannot even get 30 FPS. And yeah, I think later we'll go through Daniel Owen's video. Daniel Owens who did a lot of testing on Borderlands 4, and you can see that it takes to get 144 FPS. So let's say you're playing on a 144 1080p monitor, right? And you want to get Borderlands 4 to 144 FPS. You have to go down all the way to 1080p medium, spend over 3,400 Singapore dollars to buy a 5090, the best graphics card that is available, best desktop graphics card available. Play at 1080p, all the way at 1080p, go down in quality setting all the way down to medium, and then you can get 144 FPS. How about us regular folks who's like doing a 6800 XT? We could barely eke out like 79 FPS in 1080p, and then when they do it at like 4K, it is almost impossible. Like 4K, even 7900 X, like it's horrible. Like at 4K, oh my god. Even the 5090 at 4K medium setting barely gets above 60 FPS. It's like 76. A 4090 cannot even get 60 FPS at 4K. It is a terribly optimized game. So a lot of people are complaining about it on the Steam page as well. Okay, so there is that, and they also did more updated content on Borderlands 4. The latest video that they just uploaded an hour ago that I just watched was about how they were like blasting the recommended specs. So in response to the severe criticism of Borderlands 4 by tech tubers as well as the general Steam player base, what Borderlands 4 did, they worked with NVIDIA to come up with a recommended optimized setting list for NVIDIA GPUs, only for NVIDIA GPUs, of course. So it's from NVIDIA, but it involves actually turning down a lot of the graphical settings, a lot of the graphical settings, and activating frame gen on the 4000 and 5000 series cards. So it means that no matter what, you're not gonna get playable FPS without frame gen. And using frame gen is not it's not like DLSS. It doesn't make your game higher FPS or more responsive. It actually just smooths out the frame, so it looks like it is smoother when you're turning. But when you try and click something and you play, you will notice a lag in playing, because you're still like the base frame rate is like 30 FPS, for example. So you will find the game is really slow to respond, even if you have like 4x frame gen, but your base frame rate is like 30 FPS. I tried frame gen on using other software because I'm using an AMD card. I have tried AMD. I think I've tried AMD frame gen, but I think I've used the frame gen app. Was it lossless scaling or something like that? I think the frame gen. I think it's lossless scaling. So I've used that and tried out frame gen, and I don't like it. Like, it's really laggy when it comes to, yeah, a lot of the like. I enable frame gen and the game looks slightly smoother, but when I try to play the game, it feels really laggy and it just doesn't feel good, especially if you're playing a first-person shooter like this. Okay, so basically, yeah, so Steve is just going through the recommended specs, and he says that it's actually a big deal. Like, the recommended specs from NVIDIA is just really down-tuning a lot of the settings, so you don't get the game looks terrible. It looks worse than Borderlands 3, all the way from 2000, released in 2019, from 6 years ago. So yeah, so it's just them blasting about the kind of like yeah, they're just trying to cover it up basically. So there is that. So a lot of Borderlands content. So if you're interested in buying Borderlands 4, or if you have Borderlands 4 and you're struggling with performance issues, kind of know that you're not alone. So you might have to turn down a lot of the settings, or just have to endure the 30 FPS experience. Otherwise, actually, Steve did mention that Tim from Hardware Unboxed is trying to come up with optimized settings guide for Borderlands 4. They will post it probably sometime soon this week. So subscribe to their channel, Hardware Unboxed, and stay tuned. And follow up on moving on, JayTwoCents. JayTwoCents actually released some interesting videos nowadays that is focusing on the software side, or the side of tech that of PC tech that the rest of the content creators did not cover. Like rather than covering games and so on, he covered Nvidia drivers this week. So he covered like the performance of Nvidia drivers like now compared to when it launched, and in summary actually Nvidia drivers got worse. So he was actually talking about like there's probably a meme and a meme from the community that says that Nvidia drivers are done by AI nowadays. That's why they're so bad. And Jay actually suspects it's actually true, because actually the latest drivers perform worse compared to the launch drivers in many of the games. So yeah, so the drivers that means you're like losing performance as the time goes on and you're updating the drivers, which is unheard of. Usually performance improves or stays the same, but they're actually losing performance. But I mean, he is testing it on a 5090, but I think it applies to all the other drivers, all the other GPUs from Nvidia as well, because Nvidia actually uses like one driver install package for all their like 5000, 4000, 3000 series GPUs and something along those lines. Okay, then Jay also did this one limited budget setup challenge. I didn't watch it, but it's probably probably a fun challenge between his staff at JayTwoCents. So they probably did like within the budget. No, they're gonna go out and shop and see what's the best system they could build and so on. So probably a fun video. So if you like this kind of like, if you're a budget builder, if you like this kind of videos, you can check it out. He did an update on the Microsoft SSD issue. So if you're not aware, actually the latest Microsoft updates actually created a lot of issues with NVMe SSDs that have Phison controllers. So Phison is actually a maker of a chip that is used extensively in many of our NVMe SSDs as a memory controller. So in this case, yeah, so many of our SSDs are actually affected. I personally myself haven't seen a big effect of this. So what has triggered it? So I've watched his videos on this in the past. What has seemed to trigger this is that the how should I mention? Like you have to, if you move a huge file, let's say you're installing a game or you're deleting a game, most likely installing a game or you're transferring like a lot of video files or game files from one SSD to another, you are actually likely to encounter this issue whereby your SSD kind of gets corrupted, then Windows get corrupted or something along those lines. Then your motherboard might not be able to recognize the NVMe SSD. You might have to power off your whole system, cut off the power, and then power on again in order to get the motherboard to recognize the NVMe SSD, or you might have to do something, or it might result in some permanent corruption damage. I'm not too sure, because the story regarding this, like there's a lot of people trying to test it, and at the same time not a lot of people trying to test it. There's like here and there. So the story is so convoluted that I don't know what's true and what's not. Personally, I haven't gone to testing it myself. It is very difficult to find a problem because you have to move a huge file, and I'm not that interested to try and isolate the issue when I don't get personally affected. So, but it seems like people, as long as they have Windows Update on, they will be affected. And in this latest video, Jay mentioned that the solution for now seems to be to try and update your motherboard BIOS to the latest BIOS. That may help to alleviate it, like to fix the issue. But Microsoft have not acknowledged the problem, and they themselves are not aware of the problem, and they've saw Jay's videos and they are trying to speak with him to try and isolate the issue and try to fix it on Microsoft end. But the engineers from Microsoft are only just starting to realize it after this problem has been around for like a week or two. So yeah, in the past two weeks of tech YouTube, this story has been going around, especially by JayTwoCents. But yeah, it is a legitimate worrying issue, but yeah, hope it doesn't affect you. If you are worried about that, please give the video a watch and see what he proposed. This one I really like. So the latest video from 2 days ago, JayTwoCents actually did this video on the best fan orientation. So this one I really like because I'm more into PC building and more into the hardware side of tech YouTube, of PC tech. So he mentioned that there is this there's this picture circulating on Reddit and online tech forums and so on about the best fan configuration for both intake and outtake, so that you get the best CPU and GPU temps. And this is the video that's circulating that says that if you have two intake from the top and one exhaust on the top, and then you have intake fans in the front, you sort of get the best CPU temps. Then if you have one intake on the top, two at the exhaust, and the intake in the front, you get the best GPU temps. And then if you have only three exhausts at the top and intake in the front, you get worse CPU as well as average GPU temps, things like that. So he sort of debunked this by doing a lot of testing on his own, using one single case, using an air cooler and all that. So he debunked it by, in summary, he feels like within all the configurations, and then he has another configuration whereby even the top three fans are all intake, it doesn't really affect the temps that much for both GPU as well as CPU. So if you're interested at all in like PC case, fan, airflow configuration and so on, please give this video a watch as well. It's really interesting. I really liked it. I learned a lot from it as well, because I myself, I don't have the resources to, or the time to do such extensive airflow testing. Moving on, Paul's Hardware has a pretty quiet week. So in this week, he only updated the GPU price watch. So very much like Hardware Unboxed, Paul also does a GPU price watch every month. I don't know whether he's been doing this since COVID era or doing it as long ago as Hardware Unboxed, but Paul basically covers the US market because he is staying in the US. So he has this huge spreadsheet that he covers. He covers the GPU pricing updates in US market. So if you're staying in the US and you want to know what's happening to GPU prices, you can give this video a watch as well. Other than that, as usual, Paul does his tech news video. So every week he actually does a tech roundup where he rounds up all the interesting like tech news, and he presents it in a very fun way. So usually it's always been really entertaining to watch this like tech news from Paul's Hardware. Okay, moving on to the biggest YouTuber on the biggest tech tuber on YouTube, Linus Tech Tips. So obviously Linus Tech Tips is now not just he alone, it's a whole company, Linus Media Group. So I also cover a little bit of LMG Clips as well as Hardware Unboxes podcast channel. So well, I haven't watched many of the Linus Tech Tips videos because Linus Tech Tips and Linus Media Group, for their main channel, they have actually gone mostly into sort of like fun entertainment videos in tech rather than educational videos. So their take is on the main channel's videos is more like to entertain the general audience while at the same time educating them on a little bit about tech. It's like they do this scrapyard wars where they try and get their staff to sort of like build a whole gaming room on a budget, including PC and everything. So yeah, if you're interested in like trying to buy things on a budget and things like that, you can check it out. So it's more of a fun video. This one, it's a mobile phone. I'm not really that interested in mobile phone videos, but sometimes I do watch it when I'm shopping for a mobile phone. So this is probably talking about Apple. Yeah, about Apple iPhones, maybe talking about the latest iPhone 17. And this is talking about surround sound system. Because I see a Bose on the headline. Yeah, so probably talking about sound systems, which is not closely related to PC tech, but no, some interesting videos as well. All right, so there's that. Honestly, I never watch any of these, but yeah, based on the title and the thumbnails, you can probably guess their content. Moving on to LMG Clips. What's more interesting from LMG Clips? In summary, LMG Clips channel is actually Linus Media Group's clipping channel that is clipping the Linus Tech Tips podcast, which is called the WAN Show. I think they do it every week, and then from that they actually clip out the interesting sections of the podcast, which is like 90 minutes or 1 hour long every week. So a lot of us, I myself included, don't have the time to sit through the whole podcast, so we will just watch the clips. So among the clips, the interesting one that I've seen, you can see that there's quite a lot of clips in the past week, right? Like they're uploading at least 1 or 2 every single day. The most interesting one is they were talking about how the views on tech YouTubers on tech YouTuber channels have dropped throughout not just Linus Media Group, but on other tech tubers channel as well. So Hardware Unboxed also talked about this, not like response, but they've seen those videos and they've talked about it in their own podcast as well. This one, so this is Hardware Unboxed podcast channel, and they're also talking about it whereby, yeah, they in their podcast they were talking about how their views also went down and they were confused. They thought that maybe their content was not popular with their viewers anymore and things like that. But turns out that after watching the WAN show and the clips from LMG Clips, they noticed that, yeah, it's not just them, but other YouTubers, other tech tubers also have a similar trend as well, whereby their views are generally dropped throughout. So it's probably a YouTube algorithm issue. YouTube is probably just not pushing the videos to the same number of audience members. So that's that. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to worry about it. All they could do is just consult YouTube with it, and yeah, try to get YouTube to revert or adjust their algorithms again. So that is that LMG Clips and How I Unbox podcast channel. And then moving on, this is Daniel Owen's channel. So Daniel Owen's channel is actually, he's a single is like a one-man show on his tech channel, and he's actually a math teacher that likes to do GPU comparison videos, and I find his videos actually extremely useful for like in-depth detailed comparison of GPUs performance and in specific games as well. So for the past week, you can see that he has gone on a tear, really uploaded lots of videos. He did best GPUs to buy in September, so similar to Hardware Unboxed as well as Paul's Hardware. He did a video on the GPU pricing, so this is for America again, because Daniel Owen lives in America. Then he talked about Borderlands 4's ridiculous PC system requirements before the game launch, and he talked about how like the producer of Borderlands 4 was already trying to preempt the disaster by saying that their game is demanding and saying that their game is not made for like normal audiences. So I've just moved my head out of the way. So it's like it was ridiculous. Like the producer was like saying something like don't expect your low end system to run our brand new game. Like it's very copium, but I think he's just preempting it. He's trying to like, yeah, cover his bases. I think Borderlands, the Gearbox Studios, I think I forgot whether is it the name of the studio that did Borderlands 4. I think they're working closely with Nvidia and Unreal Engine 5, and it is, yeah, they're just trying to push people to buy better GPUs from Nvidia. So it is clearly is a Nvidia sponsored title, and it's clearly very unoptimized, as I covered in the beginning of this video, by as based on testing from Hardware Unboxed. But I haven't bought it yet because it's too expensive, and I don't think I want to buy. I want to pay 100. It costs 99 Singapore dollars on Steam, which is like $100. So I don't want to spend $100 Singapore dollars to buy an unoptimized game that I'm not gonna play. Yeah, it's just not worth it. Then he did. And then after the game launch, Daniel Owen did performance testing inside the game. He did it on a 5090 and it was terrible. Oh no, he did it on like an average GPU, I think, and it was terrible. And then after that, he was responding. He did another video where he was responding to a comment that says that, yeah, people should just buy a 5090 and quit crying about bad performance. So he actually dished out his 5090 and tested the game, and it was still terrible using a 5090. After that, he did 5070 Ti versus 9070 XT, whereby the 9070 XT is AMD's current generation's fastest card, to test it in Borderlands 4. And in his testing, interesting thing is that AMD's 9070 XT actually performs slightly better than a 5070 Ti, even though those two GPUs are usually neck and neck in many other games. And then he was did another video responding to the Nvidia optimized list from Nvidia as well as Borderlands 4, which is the same kind of debunking video that Steve from Hardware Unboxed did. But Steve from Hardware Unboxed did in-depth testing, whereby I think Daniel Owen basically just did commentary, ranting video on it. And yeah, but I haven't watched that video, but I can probably guess his content. He probably wants to call out Nvidia's and Borderlands 4's bullshit on it. Then after that, he was responding to comments from his viewers that seems like the latest patch on Borderlands 4 improved the game performance. So Daniel Owen wanted to test it. So he installed the latest patches and compared it with his videos, recorded videos and benchmarks of Borderlands 4 performing before the patch, and his summary was that there was no improvement at all. It was just a placebo effect, or it could be that the shaders were compiled better on the people that ran the game for the past week, for the past few days, because the shaders were already compiled, so the game ran less stuttery, because the Borderlands 4 was running very poorly on many systems, and there was a lot of mini stutters, because as you go into a new area, the game would like compile shaders in the background, and that would cause a lot of stuttering and hitching. Then his latest video is members only, so from 11 hours ago. Best iGPU versus worst optimized game. So now he's calling Borderlands 4 the worst optimized game, and I think maybe it's early release for members only. It's probably be available to the general public maybe after a day or two. But anyway, if you like any of those content, please give Danny Owen's channel a subscribe and a watch on his videos as well, because it's really interesting. He covers the game in a lot of depth, and his videos kind of keep me updated on what's happening in the world of gaming as well. Alright, so that's that for this week in Tech YouTube, and we'll see you guys in the next video. If you'd like me to cover any of other content creators on the Tech YouTube space, maybe you can leave in the comments below, and then I will maybe give their videos a watch if I have the time, and then yeah, maybe I'll include it in the summaries here. And we'll see you guys in the next one.